So, I've now tested it at home. It was okay. I thought I'd bring it down to the studio. I've got the master pretty high. It's about sort of between 12 and 1 o'clock. I'm in the clean channel at the moment, set pretty flat actually. This is the sound straight out of the box. You know, I've only got cable, amp, and LTD FX 400 Explorer. These are the Korean made ones, excellent guitars. Humbuckers are Seymour Duncan JB Jazz. Okay, so a very classic set. You'll be able to recreate this at home. So I'm not going to talk too much, I'm just going to get straight to some tones. So absolutely killer clean sound. Love it. I think this is one of the best things about this amp. And the reverb is absolutely superb as well. I'm going to demonstrate that to you with a little bit of extreme reverb settings, but you get the idea. Sorry, that's with the reverb around 2 o'clock. If I crank it all the way up, it's quite... superb. I think the reverb is really nice, especially for that Western sound. Yeah. Okay, that's on maximum settings, but it's really tasteful. I like it a lot. You know, even if it's just a quarter of the way up. I'm going to get rid of the reverb for now, just so you can hear it dry. I'm going to turn the clean volume all the way up, because I think this is a really killer sound. It's going to get quite loud, but... You can dial back the volume and it cleans right up. You can pull it all the way back and... the classic Marshall sound, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think you could nail that any better. The dirty channel is similar to the JTM60 in the sense that it's quite dirty quite quickly. Getting a nice classic sound sounds a bit compressed, but you'll see what I mean. It still sounds ace, but I'm going to demonstrate that to you now. So the gain about 1 o'clock again, volume sort of between 2 and 3 o'clock. Bass is a little bit past noon. Mids I've dialed back to sort of like 10:30, somewhere between that and 11. Treble 1 o'clock. No reverb or anything, although the reverb does obviously sound as good as it did on the clean. Lovely. Although me personally, for my taste, I tend to have reverb off when I'm with the band. At home I might put a bit of clean on reverb on the clean because it sounds, sounds nice. You can get that kind of old school feel. But yeah, this amp's killer, man. Yeah, it's quite dynamic with the volume control. Not as good as the clean channel, but it's pretty cool, So that's a rolled back tone. If I turn the gain down to sort of like a quarter, it's quite barky. Lose a bit of the balls at the bottom, but yeah, man. Gain at full tilt is a little bit too much for me, but I'll demonstrate that because everyone's going to ask. pretty brutal. It sounds great, actually. Love it, man. Sounds killer. But unfortunately, this amp at low volumes is lacking a little bit, you know. I would say the volume control before about 12 o'clock is just not, you know, not punchy enough. I mean, I don't have the volume on the gain channel wound in all the way, but this is kind of a good compromise between the dirty and the clean volumes, you know. It's a good volume. If I wind the middle control right out, you can kind of get that kind of Metallica kind of hollow, you know? If I wind the mids the other way, it's quite honky, you know. I'll say as an amp, it's quite mid-focused. I know it's the same with the JTM60. I think it's got something to do with the cabinet size, you know, and the fact that it's an open cab Celestion G12H speaker. I think it lends itself more to that mid sound. Sounds just ace, but I tend to just dial it back slightly because I think it's got it in spades. Plugged into something like the 4x12, you get a slightly different feel. You've got to wind the bass back and push the mids up a bit more. If that's interesting, maybe we'll run it through the 4x12 as another video, because I think that has a certain sound. But straight out of the combo, I really do think it's a worthwhile purchase if you can find one of these. They're really good. Another little trick as well. You can get a little bit more volume out of it and slightly more gain is because these have a series and a parallel effects loop independently. You can actually plug just a normal jack cable, you know, between the two jacks of the parallel effects loop, and what that means is that if you put the volume up of the parallel effects return volume, you actually get more volume coming back through the amp and a little bit more gain, a bit more saturation. I'll demonstrate that for you now. See what I mean about the extra fatness? Basically, you're pushing the power stage harder, and you're getting that power amp starts to sag a little bit. It starts to be a little bit more compressed. It's kind of a cool sound. I mean, when the master cranked all the way, it sounds sweet as, but I don't know if it's going to clip the microphone. I'll give it a go because, you know, why the hell not? Definitely. Let's say it's unusable volume. Although, if it rolled back, you can get a kind of a clean sound out of the data channel. So, one disadvantage I would say to this amp, which I noticed when using my effects board, is that the series effects loop actually drops the volume a little bit. You have to compensate a little bit with your pedals. I.e., if you were to plug in a cable, just a normal instrument cable between send and return on the series loop, you notice the volume drop. It's probably something like 4 dB or 6 dB. It's enough for you to be missing it, you know, when it's not there. So I found myself kind of veering away from using that and using the parallel effects loop instead. Good thing about the parallel effects loop is you can have just wet effects without any dry, and then you can mix in the level that you need using the parallel mix knob, which is a really nice feature. For example, if you've got a nice delay with a kill dry feature, you could put that into the parallel effects loop and just blend in the amount of delay into your dry signal. Really cool feature. I would say the series effects loop is good if you've got something like an EQ where you want it to modify the whole sound, but just be aware that there is a slight drop in volume when using that feature. So I tend to leave nothing connected there at all. So this, I think the customer's going to be really happy with this this service work I've done to the amp. It's given it a new lease of life. It's really given it a new beginning, I would say. And I really hope he enjoys it as much as I have for the last hour and a half or so of playing. If you look after these amps, they'll serve you well. Just beware, you know, they're 30 years old, they need servicing. You know, this one was in pretty good condition. But if he ever wants to bring it back to me in the next 5-10 years, I would say probably it would be time to recap it, you know, put new electrolytic caps, possibly new valves, although these output valves have pretty good life already. I did check before and they weren't red plating at all, even at full volume, and they're playing for quite some time, so I'm very happy with the conservative settings I've biased it to, and it still sounds great, you know. It's not compromised on the quality at all. So yeah, if you like this video, please subscribe, share it, make a comment. You know, I've worked with the JTM60 and this, and they're very similar internally, but they have sort of very similar traits. I mean, inside they're almost the same. But if you've got any questions, send us something over. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, goodbye.